What's up, everybody? It's Alex from Heavy New York. Webster Hall is officially back after being dormant for 2 years, and we're starting things off on a high note. We are here with Mike Martin of All That Remains. Thank you for your time today, man.
I don't know about a high note, but it's a note.
Oh, it's definitely a high note.
Whatever. You're just being nice. It's cool, though.
It's awesome to have you here. I mean, it's a great show. 10 years after you've toured with Lacuna Coil, and now you're back with them.
Yeah, it's cool how things work exactly like in the fall of 2009, and now it's the fall of 2019. And I mean, the fact that it's still happening at all is pretty amazing. And then it's pretty cool it's still happening for them, too, and we're doing it again. Yeah. So that's cool.
Exactly. Yeah. One thing I've always wanted to ask you is, as a fan of your band, if you played me 10 seconds of a song, I could tell that's off of Behind Silence and Solitude, that's off of Madness, that's off of Fall of Ideals, that's off of Overcome, etc. So it's fair to say you guys take a new approach to every album, right? You don't really have like a formula that you necessarily stick with, right?
Yeah. I know exactly what you're saying. It makes people mad sometimes, but, it's hard to just, all right, same exact thing over and over and over and over again. So, I mean, sometimes you can do that and it works, but there's always something that we want to show. This will be a little different, and sometimes you go a little too far and it comes out like we have stuff that I don't like, but you got 5 people and not everyone's always going to agree on the same stuff, and I'm sure everyone's got a different list of like the order that they would put our records in, so. Yeah. But yeah, definitely you got to take a little bit of a different approach so you don't write the same exact record every time.
Yeah. Well, I've always thought, like Behind Silence and Solitude, that was like melodic death metal. I thought Overcome was like very atmospheric. I thought it was very like dreamy. And then like, I just feel like you have like an album for rock fans. You have an album for metal fans. I feel like you kind of are a jack of all trades.
We were talking about Overcome earlier because it's kind of like a 1-song album, because 2 Weeks is still our biggest song and probably always will be. And people kind of only... I think Phil was just like, there's only one song on Overcome, because it's kind of like, that's like the one people know and pay attention to. Like Chiron gets some attention.
Days Without is my favorite.
I joked that we should sound check that today, but none of us know one single note to that song anymore. But it's a weird, that record's like, it kind of gets overshadowed by 2 Weeks because that song was like so big for us and still is. It's like, twice as big as the second biggest song that we have. So I don't know how many people are educated in all the deep cuts on that album. I don't know if there's any of them. Yeah. So.
Well, when you're playing like a very, very heavy song like Vicious Betrayal or Fuck Love or Misery in Me versus playing like a slower song like What If I Was Nothing or River City, is it like, do you have to approach that? Is there like a different energy in executing that song?
Well, I don't know. It's hard to say. The fact that you've brought up Vicious Betrayal is amazing to me. I think that's crazy. But no, I don't think. I think the energy is just the same. Especially like What If I Was Nothing. It's obviously a completely different song than Fuck Love. Yeah. But I don't know. The crowd reaction is so good for it. It's like, I don't know. That feels like a high energy song to me, just because the crowd's so. All the phones come out and people put up lighters or flashlights, and I mean the energy is so cool for that song. Even though it's a slow song, I feel like that one has one of the most energetic reactions. So. I guess if it was a deep cut, there would be like okay, this is weird now. You play like a super heavy song and people are beating each other up, and then we play like a weird acoustic song off of Madness or something like that.
Those same people are crying.
I'd just be like, all right, okay. We've kind of confused people over the years, and I get that. So
yeah,
I don't know. We don't feel bad for it. Just I know we have.
Well, I think that's what keeps it interesting. Like, there's some bands like AC/DC or Cannibal Corpse. They, people are going to be happy by doing like a similar thing, but I think you guys thrive off of experimentation. It has to make it easy to try new things.
Yeah, I've had friends that I've just known my whole life that sometimes they hear it and they're like, what is happening? It's just so confused. I'm like, try something different. So, yeah. But we always go back to, what works too. So it's just kind of like a circle. Mm-hmm. Just try out, see what sticks.
Yeah. Now, as a lot of people know, you have Jason Richardson now in your band, and being that he played with, Chelsea Grin and Born of Osiris, All Shall Perish, as well as doing like his own solo prog stuff, when he joined the band, did you want him to learn every song note for note in your set list, or did you want him to maybe bring a little bit of his own mix to the live presence?
I think for the old stuff, obviously, I would say keep it, sounding the way it sounds, especially, and Oli put so much time into those solos, and I think Jason Jason wanted to learn them the way they are, because Oli wrote so many cool solos over the years and so many cool riffs. And metal's not really like an improv kind of thing, anyways. So, learn it the way it is. But obviously, when it comes time to do another album, or I don't even know how long albums are going to exist, whether it's an EP or some singles, I don't know. And Jason's a part of it. Then obviously we're not going to say, hey, write like Oli. We want to have him write like him. More in our style. Obviously, we're not going to write technical. We're not going to be Dream Theater on the next record, but we want him to add some of his stuff and then mix it with our kind of style, and hopefully something cool will come out of it.
Yeah. When writing because I know you're a very guitar-driven band, it always starts with a guitar. I heard you mention in other interviews. Did you lay down the rhythm and Oli would write the scale and the soloing over that, or did Phil? Because I know that Phil writes guitar too. Did you guys have to lay down a rhythm and a chord progression first before the soloing came in, or was it improvised in a way?
It was always different, depending on the song, because it came from different. Oli wrote so much stuff. A lot of times it just started with riffs that Oli had, and then sometimes Phil would have 2 or 3 a verse chorus part, and we'd always kind of start with that. And Oli was also the overdub guy. He was great with taking we'll just give him 3 chords or whatever, and then he would just write 65 more parts to that one that one thing. So we always that was a great thing about him. But it's always been a different. Sometimes I have some stuff. Sometimes Phil starts it. A lot of times Oli would start it. Our tour manager just walked by really confused that we were doing an interview. He's like, "You said no." I'll hear about that one later. Yeah. I don't think you'll get in trouble. You'll be fine.
One thing that I find unique is because All That Remains has toured with a variety of different bands. Just this year alone, you went from Seven Dust to In Flames to Attila, now with then Unearthed, then with Lacuna Coil. Have you noticed a different crowd depending on who you've toured with?
Yeah, absolutely. We've done tours where we've been out with Volbeat, and then we go out with we'll do Five Finger Death Punch, Volbeat, stuff like that, radio stuff. And there was a span of time, we were talking about it last night actually, and we were wondering how, if we hurt ourselves by being so heavy on those radio tours. And I know death metal fans are going to be like, you're not heavy. Mm-hmm. But on a tour, if you stick us with Five Finger Death Punch and we're playing older stuff, which back then we were, it's heavy compared to what all those radio rock people are used to. And we were wondering man, did we confuse those people all those years? But it's always been cool to be able to adjust the set. I remember we were going on after Cannibal Corpse one day, and I think
Mayhem Fest 2009.
Not that. I think it was Knot Fest or something in L.A. And I remember just waking up that day and hey, we're gonna put some heavy songs. We're going after Cannibal Corpse. We're gonna thicken the setup a little bit. And I was like, yeah, we probably better, because there's certain days you just don't want to look I don't know. Cannibal Corpse is an intimidating band, so.
Yeah, there you go. But they're teddy bears.
They're the nicest guys in the world, but when you go on after them, you're just whoa. Yeah. But we've always just adjusted our set. Later on, it was easier to adjust the set. Back in the days, not so much. We had 2 radio songs. So if we were out with Five Finger, like we were in 2011, we'd play our 2 or 3 radio songs, but the rest of them were really, really heavy. And I think a lot of the crowd is why are they barking at me? Yeah. So,
Well, to Cannibal Corpse fan and Morbid Angel fans, I think a song like Six or Empty Inside is Nickelback compared to what they would like.
Yeah, our heaviest song going on for Cannibal Corpse still sounds like we're fucking Cher.
There you go. I have 2 more questions for you, if that's cool. Yeah. Being a band from, I've always said that the Massachusetts metalcore movement, metalcore for lack of better words, because I think on the periodic table of subgenres, that's one of the most, but there's you guys, Killswitch Engage, Shadows Fall, Unearthed, and, I feel like you guys are a supergroup because Aaron played with Bury Your Dead. I know that Phil was in Shadows Fall. You played with Unearthed for a period of time.
Yeah, I would just fill in for Buzz periodically when he was having relationship things.
Yeah. And Jeannie, I know when she was in the band, was in the Acacia Strain at one point too, right?
Yeah, I think she did a tour with them. I don't know if she was ever in the band. I know she did some shows with them, but.
And Jason was in Diecast. So
Jason was in Diecast, yeah.
So was it kind of easier to start a band in that time period because there was such a happening scene there?
Yeah, there was just everybody. I mean, you had so many different ones, and then what was even easier was after everyone started their bands was when bands fell apart, it was very easy to kind of grab. They're like, oh, okay, we'll grab this person, or hey, you're just doing local shows. Do you want to come and do a tour? And they're like, yeah, sure, okay, cool. So it wasn't hard to find people back then. Everybody was at every show every week. It was the coolest thing ever. And that bar is like a fucking dance club now. Like everything, like every radio station's a country and pop and dance station too. So, but that time was cool, and it was easy to find anybody to do anything.
Yeah.
It was fun.
There you go. And the final question I'd like to ask you, if you don't mind, is, I've had the privilege of meeting Oli numerous times. He was super kind, super genuine. He was also really funny. I used to always
pawn all the interviews off on Oli. I was like, Oli, I don't want to do that. You do it. He loved them. He was like, I'll do it. He loved doing them.
And now you're trapped.
No, you just found me outside.
Yeah.
That's why.
But, I feel like he had every great trait that every good human being could have. But for some people who may not have been fortunate enough to have met him, have you ever? Would you like to maybe say what some of your greatest memory was with him?
Just Oli was such a character. He just loved guitar more than anyone I've ever seen in my life. He didn't do anything else in life. Everything else was just annoying to him. If he wasn't playing guitar, he probably hated it. He hated flying. He didn't mind traveling on the bus, but the traveling, like flying or doing like those kind of like flying tours and everything outside of just sitting in a room and playing guitar, he just didn't want to do anything else. And he'd wake up in the bus at, he liked to party a little bit after the show, but not a ton. But he would wake up late and wake up at 1 or 2 p.m. and he just played guitar all day until we went on stage. And I've literally seen him play guitar after we were done too. Once he got excited and got on a roll, he was just nonstop. So I don't know. Oli was just a super, super mellow guy, and all he wanted to do was play guitar and music. I'm glad he got to, he got to tour for 15, 20 years. So I'm glad he did get to live his actual dream. He lived off of guitar. He never, after like when you were younger, you deliver pizza or you have your little starter jobs. He never had to do anything after that. So that's cool. And, I'm glad he got that because, the end of the story is not so great, but but that's pretty much it though. He was super mellow and he was harmless, and he just loved guitar.
Yeah. Touring while you were working in the liquor stores, right?
Well, yeah, we would come home and I would go work. Yeah, my family had a store and I would go work 50, 60 hours a week doing that. He would teach. So it was still guitar. Yeah. He still got to like go home and like if he needed to make some money, he'd just go play guitar. And he was the best teacher I've ever seen. I've never seen anyone able to like deliver the information in a way where he could always find a way to make you understand how to play something. Because he wrote a lot of stuff back in the day, and I was just like, dude, I don't think I can play that. And he's like, no, you're fine. And he was super patient. He would sit there and we just go through the stuff super slow. Never got mad at you, never got frustrated, and he was just the best teacher I've ever seen. So.
Well, thank you so much. Just before we go, is there just anything else you would like to promote for this up-and-coming tour? I mean, this will be uploaded by midnight, so if it hasn't been announced yet.
Nice. Okay, so, you're going to miss New York City tonight because it'll be too late. But after that, we got 5 more weeks. Us and Lacuna Coil and a bunch of other bands. So it's going through the whole U.S. and some of Canada. So just look, the internet always has the tour dates. So that's where everyone takes all the music from anyways these days. So
couldn't steal it before.
While you're downloading everything for free, take a peek at the tour dates. We'll be around.
There you go. Or buy it, because I promise you it's worth it.
I don't even tell people to buy it anymore. I know they're not. I'm not buying it. I'm like, I don't have to spend money anymore. That's cool. But I'm just as much part of the problem as anybody else is. So.
There you go. Well, thank you, Mike. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Everybody, Mike of All That Remains, Victim of the New Disease. Pick that up if you haven't already. This is Alex from Heavy New York. We'll see you next time.